Good afternoon, everyone. Perhaps we'll just wait for a couple of more minutes, give the teachers a little more chance to join, and we'll start momentarily. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is such an interesting topic of science that I wanted to take this myself. So just to introduce myself before we begin, my name is Neena Jain, and I'm the Secretary General of USO, which is United Schools Organization of India. I know that the school has just about wound up for the day, so the teachers are gradually joining us, and I'm hoping that the students have all used our YouTube live link to join in online. So first of all, I'd like to welcome you all. I know it's a very hot summer day, but hope that you have a cool mind in order to absorb everything that this webinar has to offer. So we are here for Science 101, and I think one of the questions that we frequently got is, what is 101? Why did we choose the name 101? So 101, not 101 or 101, is normally classified as the stepping stone towards something more elaborate and something more big. So that's why we wanted to use this as a way to encourage students and teachers as well, and to ignite their interest in science a little bit more. All right, so let's begin. We'll just go through a quick presentation and then we'll start. So for everyone to note, this webinar is being recorded. The webinar that is being attended is by the teachers. There is also a YouTube live link that has been shared by the students. So the mic, the video, and the chat have all been disabled for now. There is a question and answer round, which will be towards the end of the presentation, and that's when the chat will be enabled. Would request all the students who are joining us to send their questions to the teachers, and the teachers can subsequently, at the end of the webinar, ask it in the chat box, please. Now, real quick, so that we all know a little bit about the partners. So United Schools Organization of India, USO, is a registered society. We were established in 1951, so we've been around for a long time. And it is our mandate. We do a lot of extracurricular activities. In fact, we are the pioneers of conducting extracurricular activities in schools nationally. We do these through a series of tests and seminars and conferences, competitions, campaigns, all in order to increase awareness on several social and global issues among schools nationally. Now, for this, we are partnering with CSIR-NIScPR, and just let me take a moment to tell you about this fantastic organization. CSIR, which is the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, was established by the Government of India in 1942, and is one of the largest research and development organizations in India. NISpR, which was formerly called National Institute of Science Communication and Policy Research, is located in New Delhi and is an information science institute which was founded in 2002. Coincidentally, one of their offices is right next to ours, so there's a lot of good scientific knowledge that is being exchanged, in other words. Now, for this program, we are partnering with the Jigyasa division of CSIR-NIScPR. The Jigyasa division is very, very popular. Perhaps you may have heard of this division and the great work that they are doing. The mandate of the division is to bridge the gap between science and society by fostering dialogues with the various stakeholders, such as local community, the students, the academia, and educationists. This is one such means for them in order to foster greater dialogue. Now, coming back to what is Science 101. So there are several schools who have also registered today. So just to give you an overview, Science 101 is going to be a series of monthly webinars. We are going to organize one webinar at the end or the last Friday of every month. And these webinar series, this is an entire series for the next 11 more series, which constitutes a year. And these shall highlight real-life applications of science. This is aimed for teachers and for students of standards 8, 9, and 10. And the reason why we are conducting this is to increase awareness about all things science. I'm a firm believer that science is everywhere, in the air around us, in the food that we eat, in the air that we breathe, everywhere. So it's very important for us to find the right perspective of where science can be. Science is an art as well. Science is in every angle of our life. So through this series of webinars, we hope to help students develop a scientific mindset. And they can then explore a future in science if it interests them, which I'm sure it will. At least the curiosity or the jigyasa must continue. So this is our webinar number 1. And the subject or the title of this webinar is Opportunities, the Science, Technology, and Innovation. Now, the format of the webinar will be, we have very eminent scientists who will be talking to us today, and we'll introduce him in a moment. There will be an experiment that we will also watch. And finally, this will end with questions that may be raised by the students or by the teachers, and you will get a chance to ask them and have them answered. So without further ado, can I call upon Mr. C.B. Singh? He is the head of the outreach division for the outreach, the Jigyasa division of CSIR-NIScPR. If I may just request him to come and speak to us a little bit, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Jan. And it's really a pleasure to see the teachers and the students connected to this collaborative program. And equally, we are so overwhelmed with the accepting of our invitation by Dr. Ramjee Pallela. I'm so thankful to you that without any taking time, you had given instant approval for the invite that we had sent to join this particular collaborative event with the USO. So this is basically, as you all are aware, that this is basically a collaborative program for the to build a scientific temper among the students. So this is a series of the webinar which will continue for 12 months, and as already Ms. Jan has said, and I hope that the students will definitely be benefited, and the teachers will also be, because ultimately somewhere it has to be like a teacher has to become a scientist and a scientist has to become a teacher. So this is with a particular mandate that we are going ahead. And yes, Dr. Pallela, thanks for coming and joining us. And I would also request the students to please raise the question, because we have a very good scientist among us, and it's very difficult to catch hold of these scientists because they are already so engaged in their research work. And I'll urge them to please feel free and to raise the questions. Okay, so this is from my side, and now I'll hand over this to Ms. Jan to please continue.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'd just like to extend a very, very warm welcome to everyone who's on the call. Especially want to welcome Dr. Ramjee Pallela, who's joining us today. He is the Chief Operating Officer at the Atal Incubation Center, the Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology at Hyderabad. And he has accomplished so much. I think we need a separate webinar to go over all his fantastic accomplishments. In a nutshell, his areas of expertise are several. If I may just take a moment to list a few of those. He is managing the Incubation Center at Hyderabad. And it is a very interesting role because we hear of these words, the incubation and startups and all of those. But what he does is truly fascinating, because having an incubation facility and making sure that they are leveraged from innovators from the startups in the area of biotech or life sciences, and to make them successful in their businesses is, of course, no easy feat. So amongst a lot of things, that is one of the most important roles that he is undertaking today. He's also a mentor of change at the Atal Innovation Mission Niti Aayog, Government of India. So truly, we are very fortunate to have him here today. Dr. Pallela, with that, may I request you to take on from here and just speak with the attendees?
Thank you so much, Dr. Nina, and of course, Dr. Singh and Dr. Suman. For this fantastic opportunity, because I'm always first for the students, for sure, be it undergraduates, postgraduates, but school students especially, I'm always coming forward to share their knowledge towards me, actually, rather than I'll share something to them, because their questions and everything are so brilliant every time. So today, I think, if you permit me briefly, I can actually, maybe 30 minutes I can actually tell about certain things that I want to say. 30 minutes is okay from my side?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
Doctor.
that's correct.
Okay, so you may be able to my slides, right? Will you be able to see my slides?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, get it.
Okay, the topic is something that science, technology, innovation, of course, it's so broad, but opportunities a bit less broader, but still considering students' interest and my experience in this domain after my science, kind of 2012 to 2022, I paused my science in the sense I'd like to promote science. So I'd like to help managing scientific activities through invention, innovation, and technologies and other products and processes. That way, I entered into this incubation system. In this session that we discuss now, can be more of interactive session. What I would like to say, any of us, students, parents, um, even our house helpers or community helpers, or our mentors, anyone, you, me, will be having ideas. That's what the sparks of any business or impact in the society. So we talk about the idea, kind of how we can reach to the innovation, and how that innovation can be transitioned into a kind of product or process that can create some impact in the society. That's one part. Then second thing is that we'll be discussing about one small experiment. I'm not doing any demonstration today. Please excuse me on that, but I'll be telling about one small experiment, one small video. Then the third important thing is that how the science, technology, innovation, having our problems as opportunities in the society, converted that strength of knowledge to an impactful solution. We have a case study. So with that, probably we can start. First of all, everybody is having ideas, while we are walking on the road, while just we are lying on the bed or just sitting idle, or even day-to-day activities that we have. So those ideas are probably kind of crude ideas, right? So broader ideas, many ideas, then we have to actually kind of narrowing down those ideas to be creative, and you can actually bring in art, science, management, all these streams together, where you can actually innovate a lot from the inventions, because you have some science base in your school books or any of the theories, right? From those theories, we'd like to actually imply something from the sparks of ideas that we have, and we actually start inventing something. Those inventions actually the basis for innovations. You discover something, for example, that is altogether new or not, we don't know. But you actually keep on experimenting. What are the outcomes? You actually use some kind of simple column, some cartridge where you are pouring something from the top, and you will be getting some fresh water or maybe some fuel coming out of it by actually filtering or extracting. It's a kind of simple thing I'm telling you. So you're experimenting on that. That's where you may be thinking more how it is just thinking only. The idea you have, thinking only, but you have to make something. Then you have to innovate it. You have to innovate through different steps and processes where you will be designing something, and you will be coming up with some solid product that is called tangible product. Or if it is a kind of process or a platform, that's also fine. These things can be used for our society. Like people say, okay, marine water, you just put it in this particular bottle and press it so that the water passing through some column, that's where the innovative product is, and fresh water is coming out of it, and the output, then you can drink it. So that's one solution. Potable water solutions that we have, even drainage water, or maybe see some kind of contaminated water, for example. You may be actually putting it through some cartridge, very small one, then probably the output is a kind of fresh water, you can drink it on the spot. So these are kind of things that we can plan from those ideas that you have. So research, the knowledge that we have, that will be converted into innovation or technologies, then it makes money. Not only money, actually. The impact in the sense how many people or how much population is getting benefited, and what kind of impact that you created in healthcare sector or agri sector or clean tech sector, or maybe fintech or edutech, educational technologies. I think these are the things you need to think. For example, employment. How much of employment generated. These are all actually contributing to our national economy. So I think typical researcher or innovator, they will be having different ways of expressing or exploring their ideas to become inventions and then innovations. So something that is new, or maybe something existing, but still we can actually tweak it so that that ideas can be of useful to the society, right? So it can be novel idea, altogether a disruptive one, or maybe incremental. Incremental means you can increase some value to the existing ones, right? So there are several examples per se. One small example quickly. The state that we are sitting, okay, it can be just a kind of a four-leg stool with some backrest, then handrest, then revolving probably, and some cushions, and now recliners, massagers. What kind of transformation? These are all incremental value additions where people kind of getting a lot of what you can say solutions from these kind of innovations. So again, any other sources that we are using and the kind of content that we are using, that's where the exploration happens, and curiosity increases from these innovators. You know, all of us. Oh, what's next, and where, how, when? Okay, so what kind of help that we can seek from other people, and unbending character. You will be straightforward and strong enough to actually ask questions. So these kind of things are the typical characteristics, right? And also inference based, outcome based, and these are the things very much important for an entrepreneur or an innovator who can actually think through deep inside. So again, analytical capabilities. I kind of not able to think more, but you guys, the young kids, the questions that you ask are kind of analyzing the things around you are brilliant. So those analytical capabilities and thinking actually make you to explore more, and you will get more solutions. And before going to the solutions, identifying a problem and problem statements is very important. So I'm not going to tell more into these startup activities or something. For your base idea, a kind of survey someone need to do. If you want to pursue something based out of your idea, whether something is already existing, or is there a value that I can actually add to the society, and what if there is a market, how much is my country? If you're actually selling some, if you want to sell some product, okay, that you want to make, already some existing market is there, maybe some 10 crores, okay, 10 crores per month, someone is in the market, they are selling their products. If you introduce your product into the market, if you could able to make whether 2 crores out of those 10 crores or not. So these things, how do you know? You have to get out of your current place. You have to do a lot of surveys, talking to the possible customers, and many other things are there. So ideas to technologies or products is a kind of long journey where the incubation centers like us and some of the schools, some of the agencies, including CSIR and all, they will be helping you, right? So I'll just quickly go to the other topics. These things I covered. Again, same thing that I'm just telling. Yes. So what are the engines of innovation from the science that we learn or we are learning? So creativity is the first thing. Jugards, mostly, anything that can be jugared at home or in office, yeah, something can come out of it as well, right? That's where the creativity comes into picture. And certain unsatisfactory situations that we may be having, some problems, either in health or in education or in transport, or maybe the way we are living with these kind of roads that we have around, and garbage management, other sewage treatments, etc. Right? So they are very unsatisfactory. Are you actually adding some value? And permissive circumstances for creativity exploitation. For example, designing the works, okay, and communication and what kind of dialogue. See, any kind of problems if you want to address, first, what is the dialogue, the discussion, the interaction, and also encouragement, and what kind of consequences someone need to face in case they have some pain points and failures, right? And what kind of incentives, of course, once you are exploiting something from this creativity, once you have something in hand, then what kind of awards and rewards or compensation. So you need to assess the idea, eliminating the bad ideas. You may be having 10 ideas or 20 ideas, but which are the potential ones? We don't know. But you have to exercise. Actually, I want to share these slides to all of you. There are some kind of 30-40 questions you can ask yourself. Then you can actually narrow down your ideas, right? And what kind of social, kind of objectives that you're addressing, and financial, what kind of investments or returns, right? Some exercise. Then you will be narrowing these ideas to one or two. Then you can pursue or not to pursue those ideas. So please try to understand this. I'm not going to tell about the surveys. As I share these slides, you can read these. So before I go to that actual topic of experimentation and a case study, school students like yours, you're actually coming up with brilliant ideas with teams. So what we are doing at our incubation center, I'll be giving more details, but still now I can tell you, they're coming up with some idea with some teams. Sir, what to do? Whether there is a value addition to the society, is there a kind of business advantage there, business potential, commercial potential, maybe in other terms, and that is feasible or not, whether you can do it or not. If you can make some 2 or 3 such kind of designs or prototypes, whether you can scale them, you need to make some thousands or lakhs, for example. That is feasible or not. All these things are to be exercised with these kind of steps. Idea is there. What kind of pain points? Who are the possible customers? So for example, if I can actually make a kind of pen, okay, you can, like the way I told about the chair, pen is there, for example, simple ink pen or ballpoint pen. Now transformation, it may be having some compass, it may be having some torch, it may be having some kind of stylus along with the ballpoint pen, for example, stylus for mobiles, same pen. And also pen with, again, pencil also on the other side, pen is one side. I think how many innovation still happening, still innovation is happening. So these kind of things you need to think through. In case if those innovations are, who can be the buyers, primary customers, you need to identify. So I think that is one step. Then again, evaluation of the idea. You need to do those surveys, then you will be understanding. Don't worry about the jargons here I'm talking about. But still, if you really want to innovate and trying to actually bring some or give something back to the society, in what way, which form you want to give that back to the society. So you need to actually understand basics of it. We are there, your teachers are there to help anyway. And team is very important, by the way, and you will be designing and redesigning or reiterating the things. And of course, some money that you require, but India is good enough to have a lot of money, but you need to know how to approach that money. So now you have a wild idea, how to execute it boldly and persistently. These are the ingredients and forces. And any starting from your ideation till you get something in your hand, decision making is the key. You should be bold enough to execute it and confident enough to decide. If your decision making is delayed, someone else will catch the bus. So some of you might have seen the movie Titanic, right? So the tip of the iceberg can be seen very long way, maybe small, right? but the girth of the iceberg is so huge. The volume we don't know. And that is the entrepreneur or the innovator like yours, you need to actually assess approximately at least. That is the attitude one should get it. So shall we go for the small experiment? I'm not demonstrating also. Video will show about the biogas or methanogenesis. There are some different steps and all, some equations. I don't want to tell you because some of the links I shared here, you can also see, and your teachers may be well versed. But why I picked the biogas thing, we have some fantastic case study, how they started their journey and how they created impact, I want to tell you. Otherwise, my PhD topic is on marine sponges. You may be knowing sponges, right? They are sedentary organisms under the seabed. They'll be sticking to the surface and they are poriferans actually. I try to isolate collagen from the sponges, characterize which type of collagen is there, and what type of collagen that may be compatible to human body. That's my PhD topic, and I characterized. But my the postdoctoral studies, I studied on tissue engineering, some of the marine biopolymers, chitosan from the crab shells and shrimp shells, that chitosan, then amylopectin, okay, chondroitin sulfate, how someone can make scaffold using calcium phosphate, substance, so that you can use that scaffold or sponge kind of thing with some kind of stability, use it for tissue engineering so that cells can grow. That's what my PhD and postdoc. But today's experiment is not that something I have done it, but I have seen it. We have funded that project. And as I'm in this game of innovation promotion from the past 10 years, I would like to actually promote innovation in the school systems as well. We nurture every year about 3 to 4 school student teams, ETL teams. Some of you may be 8 years here. So what's biogas? How will this happen? And what are the bio things that are involved? Why you call it as biomethane? Methane is a kind of chemical structure, but why it is bio thing? Okay, so that's what we'd like to quickly see. Then we'll go for the case study. So what kind of impact that we will create using biogas? And not always advantages, there may be some disadvantages as well. So that's where we have to see making a biogas, whether it can give money only or it can create impact also, like empowerment. So that's where I kind of doing small video. Please let me know whether you could able to get the audio or not, or if someone can help whether it is visible or not. Is this visible?
No, I think we still have your slide which says ingredients and forces.
Okay, just one. Now?
There's a blank screen now.
Blank screen?
Yes, now there's nothing that's
Okay.
being presented. Could you kindly share screen share again? Perhaps.
Yeah. Yes, I'll try to. Now also not visible.
Well, it's showing just your initials on the Teams meeting. Doctor, can I request you perhaps if camera is turned off, that network connectivity might be a little better.
Yes. Actually, Suman, if you, actually this link is, okay, I see. Will you be able to play this? If I can put it in the chat box from your side?
Sure. Why don't we try that?
Yeah, that's. Chart access is not there, I guess, and please permit.
1 minute. I think chat has been, but kindly share on chat, Doctor. I think it's active. Otherwise, we'll just share another email ID and perhaps we can.
Actually, to Suman said,
Does Dr. Suman have this as well?
yeah, this link I shared it to her in case, but otherwise.
Chat is active, Doctor. If you could post it in the chat, then we can try to see if it can be shared from our side.
One second. No? So
Sure.
Try to see because chat box is not active for me. That's the reason I'm just, it's only team members it's saying, that's right. Chat box.
Dr. Suman, if you have the link, could you kindly share?
Yes.
Sorry for this. Actually, I should have sent this in advance.
Doctor, we're all, there's just tons to do, and sometimes technology gets the better of us.
Yeah. Right. So just a second. I'll try to send it to you also.
I have shared to Jolly Madam. No, I have shared the link to you. I have shared the link to you. Yeah, please try.
I sent an email with that link also.
Just one moment, Doctor. I'll check it.
So meanwhile, I'd like to say, see the methane production, or generally there are some biological steps where some microbial that are available in the environment. One for example, most may be knowing what the biogas from the gut microbiota of cattle. Okay. So generally, the scientists or some of the people who would like to actually extract these kind of, which are as production. So they will be altering by some raw materials. Okay, where this bacteria can walk out, and they'll be using those material as a raw material, source material to develop or produce biomass. So this all I think that is present in that video. You get my email by any chance?
Yes, Doctor, it has just come. This is on YouTube, so we'll just give me a moment to organize this from our side.
No problem. Sorry for this.
All right, so I'll just take back control, Doctor, and share the screen.
Please. Please. Visible. For the videos, I think YouTube audio issues may be there, right? I think audio is not possible to this kind of direct language. I guess. So anyway, I think since audio is not there, so that's where I mentioned about the cattle. So the feces of the cattle, they're having these kind of gut microbiota. So first time, this kind of operation of gas methane gas production in some water, the liquid, as the bubbles of these gases have been observed. You're trying to work out for the audio?
Sorry, doctor, was that clear?
Audio is not coming, but
Oh, audio is not coming.
yeah. So generally it may be possible. That's why I'm just giving my background voice for that.
Right. I'll continue to play it.
Yes, you can please. So the scientist one, you can start probably just a bit before.
So just one moment. What I'll do is I'll send the link to just 1 minute.
Sure. Okay.
If you can just give us 1 moment, please, we'll try to stream it directly. That way the sound will come.
Yeah, please. Sorry for this.
No, that's all right. So let's see if we can get it done in that manner.
Yes.
To continue while we're on the conversation, I think it's a very good time for us to explore going back to basics or coming back to nature in that sense. Your topic is also very interesting because it's not just about the field of science, but it's also the field of, if I may just my 2 cents, although you referred to me as Dr. Jain, no doctor yet, but maybe this will give me the much needed momentum or the boost to pursue a PhD. But that was very flattering. It sounded very, very nice. So the topic that is, I think, as I mentioned before, science is everywhere. Science is in everything, whether it is the day or the night, or whether it is in how a business is run. There is a science to that as well. And it's fascinating that it can be used across disciplines or across any other, so it's very important, I think, for students as well. I mean, there are several teachers and students who are watching us via YouTube as well, for them to understand that, we often have this notion that as the standard, when we get into 9th, it's going to get harder, and then 10th is even harder, and 11th and 12th, it's even more difficult, and then engineer. I mean, I think we exhaust ourselves with this thought process. So it's important.
As you mentioned, yes, please go ahead.
Yes, doctor.
No, I'm just mentioning, the right thing that you mentioned about, business,
history and discovery.
Maybe
organic matter is residual matter made of natural, domestic, or industrial
business
origin.
side
We
through
find it,
this
for example,
invention
in
and
human or
innovation
animal
step.
refuse,
But
water sediment, and
arts,
wastewater, as well as in domestic and agroalimentary.
All these actually club together to form teams to bring some impactful solutions. That's where actually the student brains, they are trying to explore multiple ways, engage participants in other set of people we have in our
We
society.
find it, for example,
That's very important.
Right. So I think it has, the recording has been started. I think it's playing on YouTube. Perhaps if we can ask others to share his screen. If you can share your screen. So we can all watch it and go back to the methanogenesis video.
in human or animal refuse, our sediment, in wastewater, as well as in domestic and agroelementary waste. This matter is biodegradable. In other words, it decomposes through the action of bacteria present in the environment.
I was just speaking with
When it decomposes in the absence of oxygen,
in our office. He's
like
on
at
the other
bottom of a
side. He's
swamp
just
or in
going
the
to
digestive
start to
tract
share
of
the
ruminants,
screen.
we call it anaerobic digestion, which simply put means in the absence of oxygen. This anaerobic digestion produces a gas called biogas. In 1776, Alessandro Volta, inventor of the electric battery, discovers that bubbles emanating from a swamp contain something other than air. He names it swamp gas, definitely biogas. He will later succeed in isolating its principal component, methane. This type of anaerobic digestion is in fact more commonly called methanogenesis.
I think sound continues to be
utility of the process.
Yeah, the scientist is
But how can
Alessandro
methanogenesis be useful?
so that's where he
Thanks to
observed
the
those
methane it contains,
gases
biogas is
out
combustible.
of
It
this
can be burned to
particular
supply energy.
liquid. So I think
Thus,
that's
while
where
ridding
the question
ourselves of
comes: what is
pollutant
this
organic
gas?
waste, for
And
example,
also the
liquid pork manure, we
chemical
can
structure.
produce energy.
Wonderful.
This
Can
is
you please
already
play
being
it from the
done close
first?
to some agricultural sites, garbage dumps, or wastewater treatment plants throughout the world, like in the Chinese village of Kaotianba, where inhabitants cook and heat entirely thanks to the biogas they produce. Analysis of the process. Residual matter made of natural, domestic, or industrial origin. We find it, for example, in human or animal refuse, in marsh sediment, in wastewater, as well as in domestic and agroelementary waste. This matter is biodegradable. In other words, it decomposes through the action of bacteria present in the environment. When it decomposes in the absence of oxygen, like at the bottom of a swamp or in the digestive tract of ruminants, we call it anaerobic digestion, which simply put means in the absence of oxygen. This anaerobic digestion produces a gas called biogas. In 1776, Alessandro Volta, inventor of the electric battery, discovers that bubbles emanating from a swamp contain something other than air. He names it swamp gas, definitely biogas. He will later succeed in isolating its principal component, methane. This type of anaerobic digestion is in fact more commonly called methanogenesis. Utility of the process. But how can methanogenesis be useful? Well, thanks to the methane it contains, biogas is combustible. It can be burned to supply energy. Thus, while ridding ourselves of pollutant organic wastes, for example, liquid pork manure, we can produce energy. This is already being done close to some agricultural sites, garbage dumps, or wastewater treatment plants throughout the world, like in the Chinese village of Kaotianba, where inhabitants cook and heat entirely thanks to the biogas they produce. Analysis of the process. But how is organic matter transformed into biogas? Thanks to bacterial action. Different categories of specialized bacteria work together to transform the components of organic matter to make biogas. They act like microscopic factories for chemical transformation. Let's look at that more closely. Other than hydrolytic bacteria, which fragment solid matter and make it water-soluble, we also find bacteria called acidogenic. They break down the complex components of organic matter into simpler molecules, alcohols and organic acids, acetate, and a bit of carbon dioxide and dihydrogen. The alcohols and acid products attract another category of bacteria, acetogenic bacteria. They become transformed into carbon dioxide and dihydrogen that they recombine in large part into acetate. Next, bacteria called methanogens take up the relay. Some combine the carbon dioxide and dihydrogen to produce methane. Others use the acetate and cast off methane and carbon dioxide in equal parts. They produce the final components of biogas, which is about 60% methane and 40% carbon dioxide. There is also the case of sulfur-reducing bacteria. They're not really a part of the transformation chain. They're attracted by the acetate and sulfur present in organic matter and produce hydrogen sulfide, a toxic and corrosive gas with a nasty smell. They compete with the methanogenic bacteria and may even stop the production of biogas, but biogas always contains some trace of hydrogen sulfide. This at least allows the identification of its presence and prevents intoxication. Diagramming the process. To see it more clearly, we will represent the process schematically. Even if practically the transformations fashioned by the bacteria operate simultaneously, we will separate them into 3 successive phases. Phase 1 is acidogenesis. The complex components of the organic matter are transformed into simpler molecules, alcohols and organic acids, acetate, and a bit of carbon dioxide and dihydrogen. Phase 2 is acetogenesis. The alcohols and acids are decomposed into acetate and carbon dioxide and dihydrogen. Phase 3 is methanogenesis. On the one hand, carbon dioxide and dihydrogen are assembled into methane. On the other, the acetate is decomposed into methane and carbon dioxide. As we have seen, this mixture of methane and carbon dioxide is biogas. Methanogenesis and bioindustry. A biodigester is a device that allows for the production of biogas while exploiting the methanogenic process. This biogas is sometimes used to feed generators which produce electricity. Depending on whether they are homemade or industrial, biodigesters may take many various forms. But the basic principle remains the same. Organic matter is placed in a closed reservoir without oxygen, and the bacteria does its work. We may improve the performance of the process by stirring and by temperature control. The biogas produced is then gathered in an expandable reservoir where it is forwarded toward a distribution network or electric power plant. We mentioned the Chinese example of Kaotianba, but you should know that the methanization process is also used more and more here at home. Initiatives in this field are at the heart of what is called the bioindustrial sector, hence the more currently used term biomethanization. For example, this Beauce farm, this Jonquilla cheese factory, or this Sainte-Sophie waste management site.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's the end of the
Thanks.
video.
Are my slides visible now?
Not yet, doctor.
Oh no, really? I'll try to reshare one more time. Sorry. No?
No, not.
I don't know why this lag is happening, but I have these controls of sharing the screen, but somehow it's an issue now.
Yeah, we can see your name, but nothing's on the screen.
How come? Actually, the same way I was sharing my slides.
Yes, we can see you though.
Actually, because what are you seeing now?
So now nothing's on the screen.
Okay.
I think, no, there's still a blank screen.
Yeah, something wrong.
No worries, Dr. Pallela. I think that's the screen.
Actually, any slides are appearing at least? No slides, nothing? If you don't mind, sorry, I just sent an email.
Yeah, no worries, doctor. What we'll do is I'll ask, let's see if we can share the slides from our side. So just give us a moment.
Yeah. Yes.
So this is a interesting concept, Dr. Pallela. In India, please tell us where are we, if I may ask a question. I know I'm sort of jumping the line here, but if I may ask, are we using bio digesters at home here in India?
Yes. Yes. Yes, we are using, and many of the corporates as well. So that's where I want to tell about the case study. I want to show an interesting study here, but somehow not able to show it. Shall I quickly join back again if you are okay?
Yes, or give us a minute. I think you're trying to share the screen, share your presentation. It was working fine before. I don't know what happened with respect to the lag, but let's see if we are able to share it.
Okay. I'll just quickly come back because it's an updated
No problem,
one.
sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
So by then, perhaps if I can find out, all the teachers who are on the call are all science teachers. I think the chat is active. Yes, I can see a show of hands. So there are some hands being raised. Perhaps I'll just allow the mic for a minute. Ms. Sharmila, you can unmute yourself and share something if you like until Dr. Pallela joins us. Ms. Preeti Kumari is also a science teacher. And the rest?
You are meeting here?
Dr. Ramjee.
Ma'am, I'm just sharing. Yes, yes. Yeah. I'm just sharing in case if you could able to see the screen. You able to see the screen now?
No, we are not, but I think we have managed to share our screen. So if you could tell us which slide to go to.
Yeah, sure. You can go to that. You go down to that.
All right. Adarsh, can we move the slides, please?
Hello. Will you able to see my screen now? No. Hello, Nina, are you there? Hello.
Yes, doctor.
No, I'm
Adarsh,
just trying.
Yeah, we are not seeing the slide. I think it's only going to the YouTube link. We're not seeing the slide on Teams. Just 1 minute, doctor. Yes. Is this the page you wanted to be on?
Yeah, you can go to the next slide.
Next slide.
Yeah, I mean, I just already covered in the video. You can go to the next slide, please. How the microbes will be, good microbes and bad microbes that we have, but how best we can use the microbes for our own benefits to develop something really economic or something really useful for the society like biogas. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I mean, like bacteria that we are currently talking about, that methanobacteria. So next one. Yes, I mean, a lot of the presence of bacteria everywhere and including our bodies. So that's where in our bodies and all that kind of microflora, importance of it is being mentioned in this slide. But next one. So in this slide, what kind of uses, like biogas is one thing, but again, foods and other relevant goods that we can see, milk or cakes or any other products that we have, yogurts and all. So for example, below if you can see the names, Fix 44, that company is actually producing milk proteins within our lab. That is one of our startup actually. So that's where I put that company name here. And similarly, they're expressing that protein in the yeast actually. So similarly, the bird thing logo, that's Magellan that I have written there, right? So what they are doing, they are trying to express one protein, one peptide, that is sweetener. So 1 unit of that protein is 1200 times sweeter than 1 unit of sugar molecule. So this is what the science and innovation bring in, because that founder, that startup founder, when he's doing his PhD and postdoc, he worked in an African fruit that is very sweet. So kind of that protein, if why can't we express this particular protein in a bacteria so that we can make more protein inside the laboratory. So that experimentation, he has done it for about 11 months. So a pinch of that protein, if you can actually throw it in a batter, and you can get about 10 kilos of cake, and the taste you will relish same way. So I think these two companies are for startups who actually bring certain microbial based technologies. Next one, please. So this process I don't need to explain, because whatever the microbes that they're actually working on those resource materials, insoluble organic polymers or any proteins or any waste, they'll be working on them, they'll hydrolyze, then they will be producing acids, that is called acidogenesis. Again, next step, if you can actually convert them into alcohols and other things, when you are having new bacteria, then acetogenesis and fermentation that can happen. And finally, methanogenesis can happen through different bacteria. Like one example, methanobacter, right? They are belong to archaea that is a one kind of family. So this biogas production, as we talk today, next slide. This methane, that biomethane thing, that is very important, and this can be actually used in multiple applications. That's where I actually try to show that video, how something, what is the starting material, what are the precursors, what are the medium intermediate materials and enzymes that can convert this kind of waste or the resource material to get the proper yield of that biomethane. Next slide, please. Yeah, I mean, I no need to actually explain on these conversions of the formulas, etc. That's already presented in the video. Next, please. Yeah. So in another form, if you can see that, this particular diagram, again, to mention about the organic waste that we are having, be it kitchen waste or any other industrial waste, that can be converted using these microbial consortia in the group of microbes that can actually convert those waste, solid waste into biogas, and they can be actually used in different applications. I'll mention the next slide. Where direct combustion, for example, boilers you can use, any turbines or fuel cells for producing, for example, space heating is there, okay, in the house, winter, cold areas, cold affected areas, and any water heating, for example, okay, and again, drying or any other absorption cooling or steam production, etc. And the internal combustion by using small machines, this biogas can be used. And of course, vehicles, most of you may be knowing. See, we have a lot of fossil fuels that have been diminished now. Okay, so how we can get something alternate? Because I worked in Delhi for about 2 years in ICGEB for a bioenergy project. It's a national mandate by DBT. They set up this center for biofuels that can be either from Jetropa kind of plants to convert biodiesel, or our project is working on microbial conversion into biofuels, any kind of biofuels that we can get it, so that at least 10 to 20% of the blend of these biofuels to our regular fossil fuels can be a much value addition to the society, right? So vehicles also biogas can be. Next one, please. So this is the case study I'm talking about, green power systems, Mainak Chakrabarti. I think several other videos are there in YouTube. You can actually watch it. But the journey started, in the year like 2012. So kind of IIM graduates and other engineers, they actually kind of started this journey, not exactly into the core biotechnology areas, but still ultimately they could able to understand only one factor. What is the problem in our society? What is the problem in our society, and how we can address with the best solution? That is what they're actually keen to work out. And they realize that particularly what kind of microbial consortia that can actually convert simple kitchen waste into biogas. That is the principle that they can just hold up, and they can able to work out in this particular area, and they approach some of the agencies, funding agencies, to invest small money, because they bootstrapped already. They bootstrapped at least only 1 lakh in those days, and they can able to actually raise some funding from government, and they actually made a bioreactor that is less cost and also occupying less space. If you put that particular thing in any industry or a corporate office or any other kind of house, bigger houses or whatever, you can actually reduce the cost of probably 20 to 30%. So this is the principle they understood, and they could able to work with Green Park Hotel and Akshay Patra in Bangalore, and they actually successfully converted this particular solid waste, kitchen waste. For example, hotel, so many tons of actually waste coming out of those hotels, and they will be using this bioreactor and their principle with these small microbial agents that they have, because they accelerated the microbial what you can say hydrolysis and other further steps to produce biomethane to enough quantity so that they can actually have their own supply of the biogas for the hotels or any other offices. So that is what it can call as circular economy, where you start with something, you produce something, again you can reuse it, right? So from the waste, whatever that you are producing. So this is a fantastic contribution, and if you can see the numbers of this bio urja technology, urja is just energy or shakti, whatever the power. So this bio power that they actually implicated, and they are into different countries, not only in India, Maldives, Sri Lanka, and Los Angeles, and they installed 100 units globally, 100 such kind of technologies, 100 such kind of plants they installed wherever they require. And if you can see, this is a kind of build operate model actually. See, you actually put some money, give that money to this company, they will actually build it, and they will be operating, that will be running. So build operate running model, so BR model is happening. And initially about 2 to 3 people they started this journey, but by the time, maybe now currently I can say that 80 full-time people, and with consultants and all others, more than 100. That means simple technology, but still much value to the society, because we always have to consider our environmental factors, how we are actually saving our fossil fuels, our nature, our earth, plants, or rivers, whatever, the water, for example. By 2030, I think we may be actually left with about 20% of water, right? So that's where that soil movement is happening. Actually, I made a project for all of you to tell initially about soil erosion, but still kind of interesting case study I want to tell about this minor story. In the past 10 years, how they actually made it, about $3 to $4 million they raised to build these many plants globally. I think that's a fantastic story from India, right? So next slide, please. 2-3 slides in about 2 minutes. This is what we do at AICCCMB. It's an incubation center of 20,000 square feet area. Currently, 28 physical startups are there, and we do several programs of funding and also innovation activities, and we give small money starting from 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 50 lakhs, like that. But we do several school student activities also. Next slide, please. This is our journey so far. We also get CSR money, corporate social responsibility, where we kind of encouraging students to get skilled. So Kashmir University, for example, we will be setting up a center for wildlife conservation, right? So these kind of activities that we do, because locally they need to train how someone can be diagnosing, or maybe someone can be detecting which DNA in the body belongs to which organism or which plant or whatever. So the poaching can be controlled. So these kind of technologies we promote by skilling students and all. So especially school students. Next slide, please. this is where you guys may be doing already. Some of you may be enrolled in the ATL, Atal Tinkering Labs of Atal Innovation Mission Niti Aayog. Being an incubator, we kind of encourage every year about 3 to 4 student groups. They come to us because nationally, when you start this challenge, I think all of you might have applied for this Atal Marathon. That April 10th is a deadline where you guys may be providing a lot of ideas, and the screening is on now, and probably top 50 of these kind of young innovators you will be selected, and out of the 50 they will be picking up 25 after the boot camp and training by assigning to incubators like us. So we coached 7 teams till now, and out of the 7 from the top 50s, 4 have been selected for top 25 in the 3 batches. So now currently this year also we are getting some more people. But interestingly, if you can see in the SIP 2.0, SIP Student Innovation Program, where 4 teams came and 2 of them got selected to National 25, and they have been to Russia that time in 2019 and demonstrated their technologies to President of Russia. And SIP 3.2, for example, there are 2 teams left side. 3 teams we coached actually, and out of them, these 2 teams on the bottom, they are doing fantastic. Dietobot, understanding the diet as per the body of the individual. And right side, right bottom, the team, if you can see, I think Seher is a brilliant girl who developed a glove for the dumb people who could not speak, and they will be using their finger movements to deliver some of the words in the local languages. So she could able to approach the IP cell where we connected. They are patenting, they're trying to start a startup. And also now, recently, about 2.5 or 3 months before, she achieved with a fantastic award called Diana Award. So I think you guys are the champions for the nation, champions of this planet. So think locally, but again, you have to contribute globally. We may be actually infusing a lot of resources even from outside the country, but still, what is that you are actually contributing as an individual, as a responsible citizen, not only to the country, but also to the globe, to this lovely planet that we are living. So that's where actually I'm trying to, encourage all of you with one word that, please take help. We are there to actually help you. With that, I think next slide, I'd like to thank, but many questions may be lined up. I'd like to discuss. Thank you.
That was very nice and insightful. Extremely insightful, Pallela. Thank you so much for that. And I will just share my screen now.
Please do that. I'm very sorry for the technical glitches. I would have done it, shared this in advance, but yeah, thanks for your in-time assistance.
No, that's, I think this is all a part and parcel of us trying to embrace technology in a fast forward mode. Because I think ever since COVID started, we had to very, very quickly, overnight, and I think the teachers will feel the pain. Overnight, we had to master everything. So with that, yes. I think we can open the floor for questions. The chat, is it enabled? I think we do have a question from Ms. Deepali Murtia. I'm going to just allow the mic. Ma'am, if you could kindly unmute yourself and ask the question, please. Deepali, ma'am. Deepali, ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Hello, everyone. Am I audible? I'm not sure.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I just wanted to know, like, it is really very helpful for the students and all. But if at all the students want to come up with something, or if they think of something, how do I share those ideas, on this platform?
Yes, that's a brilliant question. See, uh, you talked about two things here, I guess. One is about confidentiality can be one issue, right? And
Yeah.
disclosing to the other party, be it an incubator or maybe some third person or someone who may be actually in this domain, who may be actually making their own business, making your idea as a base. So I think that's where
Right.
your school, like if it is an ATL or ATL associated school, or maybe incubator, or maybe any other college, if you are associated, I think they have set processes of non-disclosure agreements, small forms, one pagers, or confidentiality agreements. These can be signed before you disclose your core principle of your idea or technology. Okay, so that is one thing. Otherwise, most of the incubators like us, we are open to actually discuss these things, and we actually guide you. You simply step in, that's it. You can reach out, you can Google this kind of broad domain area, what are the incubators are working, or maybe which are the agencies are working. So basically incubators, why I'm telling, because they are actually working with the ministries of the country and other agencies, funding agencies, etc. So they have some set rules to actually drive these groups of innovators pan India. So I think most welcome to just propose and discuss so that they can guide you what are the next steps. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. That was really insightful. Thank you.
Yes. All the best.
Thank you, Dipali ma'am. Anybody else who would like to ask a question, you can please unmute your mic.
The question, but my chat box is not it's not available for me. Chat.
Sorry, which one?
Sorry, if you can just ask your question, ma'am.
No, this is not the question, ma'am. This is my chat is not available for us. Chat box is, yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. If you have a question, then if you could, everybody has now
okay. So,
mic access. Yes.
Required regarding if students are sending the questions to teachers, where we should submit the questions.
Ma'am, perhaps if you can pick one or two questions which Dr. Pallela can answer now. Yes. And if there are too many questions, then of course you can email them to us, and we'll do our best to forward them to Dr. Pallela. And then
actually, I gave my contact details also. They can directly ask me. Otherwise, I think through USO it's better. You collate all the questions. I am happy to respond to each of your questions.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else who would like to ask a question now with Dr. Pallela can answer?
So actually government is pushing a lot in this line. So please try to utilize these opportunities, try to spend a lot of such kind of, try to utilize those opportunities and talk to your mentors all the time. Yeah, please.
Sir, good evening, sir. This is Venkat, representing CSIR School, Chennai.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir, I just want to know one thing, that actually the students are learning different kind of processes in science, like in physics, chemistry, as well as in biology streams. And they need some specific ideas about how to convert this theoretical part, and the practical syllabus is entirely different in terms of CBC's boards or any boards you take. Right. But actually to say that how they can convert the learning process into such implementation, like some experimentation, with school laboratory it is little difficulty are there. I think hope you understood.
I
And how
understand.
can it's possible to convert these their ideas into the possible successful projects like a miniature
Yes,
one in future?
great. I think I have shown you in my slides, how someone need to actually identify the ideas, and when they get the ideas, uh, facing some problems. So I'll
Yes,
tell
sir.
you a small program what we designed here along. I mean, Byrax program
Yes.
that we actually part of it. So that's called immersion
Mm.
program. Okay. So even without ideas,
Yes.
with some expertise or background, whatever they learned, either in agriculture or maybe IT or maybe electronics or biomedical engineer or biology, they come here. And anybody under 35 years of age, that is open. But we actually see the curiosity and enthusiasm to
Yes.
become entrepreneurs. So those
Yes,
people,
sir.
what they do, they will be uh, made understanding about this particular program where orientation will be given. Okay, now
Okay,
you,
fine.
depending on the theme or domain, you please go to those fields, segments, various segments in the society. So you can actually go there, spend your time, maybe 2 days, 1 week, or 1 month, whatever. But our structured program says about a 1 to 2 months or 3 months actually for the field immersion. That
Yes, sir.
means they go to those domain specific areas, for
Yes.
example, hospital. Okay. So bedside
Yes.
issues. They're talking to nurses, doctors, attendants, blah, blah. So that in that particular health specific domain, they spend that much time and identify, note down 50 or 100 odd problem statements.
Okay, fine,
Okay.
fine, fine.
Then they will be narrowing down those problem statements to best possible one without mentorship that is given by AIC CCMB or maybe our mentors, etc. Right? So
Yes, sir.
you may be having ideas then actually. Once problems and problem statements are understood, then you will
Yes.
be getting the solutions.
Yes, sir.
Maybe
Fine.
multiple ways of solutions. Again, you have to
Yes.
identify which is the feasible solution or the best
Yes.
solution that can be
Yes.
taken forward to make it as a business
Fine, fine, sir. Yeah.
or creating that impact. So I think there are some small exercises that can be done easily. There is no structured program also, but fine. You can actually from your home, you can actually start surveying and start going out in that domain to acquire a lot of information. Then you can actually put it on a paper so that you will be identifying those particular better problem statements and unmet needs where you can actually talk about the solutions.
Yes, sir.
Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Understood, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Others, please,
Uh,
if any other
Bharti
questions.
ma'am, yeah, I think Miss Bharti Bed had raised her hand.
Yes.
Would you like a question, ma'am? Would you like to ask a question?
Is it feasible for
Yes.
me
Now,
this pieces at that grassroots level?
Can you please repeat the question, ma'am?
Sir, is there any feasibility like the renewable resources we have, the windmills, the solar power, etc.? So, is there a feasibility that we can go at the grassroots level?
Yes. There are, I think some of you may be knowing in National Innovation Foundation and Srishti in Gujarat and all, Padma Shri, Professor Anil Gupta, he's just spearheading these grassroots level and also frugal based innovations. I think these kind of technologies which are at the grassroots level can be actually pursued, and a lot of rural innovations also, they'll be streamlined through various programs and they are actually uplifted for the benefit of our society. Maybe I think you can see those links to how with the any solar energy or any other those kind of devices, even corporates, how they have done recently. I came to know how in the floods time or tsunami time, for example, in Chennai, 2004 and all, how Satyam and all they have done it. One professor is telling recently, those kind of technologies, simplest solutions for the affected people and also poor and economically background people. These kind of people are mostly benefit with these grassroots level innovations, and certainly there is a kind of possibility that they'll be well encouraged. Is that okay, ma'am? Is that clear?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Definitely go to those
Please.
links.
Please. Yeah.
I believe there are a lot of resources available out there. Perhaps it's easier if there can be a resource or something like this that the schools can easily access. If there's a link or so with that respect, so especially you mentioned that there was an event on which concluded on the 10th of April with respect to the innovation.
Yes, Nina, I think I tell all students, faculty, everybody, who would like to become kind of a successful person in the society. How do you actually engage with the society to become successful for yourself and also for the society? Ultimately, it's not in the time in the terms of money or whatever. You need to actually interact, and networking is the key. Actually, every student or innovator or every person, better to talk so that he or she may be having some problems that can be solved, or maybe other people may be having some problems that can be solved, or together they can solve the problems of the society. So one such medium that we have today, I think 10x kind of acceleration that happened to the social media, for example, we can use it at the best. We students, school students, I think, most of you may be playing Free Fire and yeah, some of the games even my son plays. But sometimes he watches Bright Side, and some of the interesting bit that I don't know, actually he will be telling, Nana, this there is something like this is there. I mean, I'll be surprised to know. I mean, you are spending some time for the reels and shorts. You will be liking some comics. At the same time, you spend at least 10% of your time a day to social media like LinkedIn, Twitter. School students actually contact me in LinkedIn. Actually, they'll ask, actually, I want to develop an electrochemical device to detect Alzheimer's in advance by plaques that are available in the blood or whatever. Suddenly I'll be shocked, actually. Then I'll tell them to please come to our incubation center. I'll try to help you. So school students starting from 5th class to 12th standard, they are in LinkedIn and also please be there. So most of the funding agencies and enablers, angels, angel investors or angel agencies, whatever you call it, or the enablers, they will be in the social media platform. They actually kind of putting a lot of information. Actually, I repost several student-based activities in my LinkedIn and also Twitter, and also be there, get updated, get a lot of information. These kind of links, even for example, 2-3 times I reshared or shared in Facebook and LinkedIn, especially of these challenges for students, because students are the pillars for the nation. So I kind of always talking to schools, at least in Telangana, probably 100 schools. I closely kind of guiding them. At least 40-50 schools, they came to our incubation center once. All principals came. We did a small event. So locally, wherever you are there, you please try to actually get associated, share the knowledge, and try to actually have a consortium locally, align with your government activities. I think, Nina, I think this is the one way we can actually learn or get these resources. I can actually, because I talk mostly about funding, starting from school students to bigger industries. That's my forte. Today, actually, I talk about something else for the benefit of students. but I can share those links to you so that you can circulate. But otherwise, the best way, social media, because prime minister to local policymaker, everybody is in social media. They actually try to actually engage and communicate to the society. That's what I can suggest here.
I think that will be very valuable if you could share those links. We'll be happy to share them with schools, because one of the things it'll make it easier for the teachers. Students have great ideas, and I think the great ideas, every idea is a fabulous idea, in my opinion.
Yes.
Needs to be explored, of course, but the fact that we are thinking around those lines is definitely the road for development.
Yes.
So if there's no other question, then or perhaps the teachers will send us the questions and we'll circulate them we'll collate it and circulate it to you. So then in that case, we'll move on.
I'm just trying to,
Yes,
did you able to see any slide? No.
Yes, we can see the slide now.
Okay. Okay. So this is one slide for schools and everybody. So this slide can actually capture what kind of agencies that can actually do all grassroots level to bigger industries, even like Bharat Biotech vaccines or whatever. So that's where India is fast forward now in the innovation ecosystem, occupying third place because of all these funding agencies and ministries. So maybe you can actually follow them in the social media or go to their websites. They keep on updating. Yesterday, my Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MIT's Startup Hub CEO came here, Jitendra Vijay. So he's also kind of posting a lot of things in Instagram and other places. So why can't you actually access that information to become one of the awardees of these programs? That's what I want to show this slide quickly.
I think that'll be very valuable. The teachers, you've given a lot of food for thought to the teachers who are present on the call and the students who are also participating.
Yes.
That would be something that they all can. So I'm just going to share my screen again. For the teachers who are online, the questions we'd be happy to collate and send it to Dr. Pallela. So in terms of next steps, there is a small, very basic quiz that we have made. If we can request the teachers to conduct that quiz with students of your class, it can be an online class, it can be an offline class. It's a very short 20-question quiz, just a generic quiz on science. It has questions from bio, chem, and physics. I mentioned bio first because it was my favorite stream of science, but it has questions from all of those. It's just meant as an activity for the class and the students, just to ignite some interest in them. The link of that will be shared with you via email and also on the WhatsApp group. And the second webinar in our series will be Friday, the last Friday in May, which is May 27th, again at the same time. We'll share details during the week of that webinar series. So once again, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. I know we went a little over time. Since this is the first webinar series, we didn't realize the extended interest that it'll be. Dr. Pallela, I want to thank you very, very much for your time.
It's my pleasure to be there, and kind of a lot of interaction I expected, but probably about 5 to 7 minutes gone waste. But I'm very sorry for that, apologizing every participant here. But please reach out to me. We can discuss more. I think the day is not ended, so it's open for everybody. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Ms. Neena.
Yeah, no, not at all. It is our honor to have you talk to us all today. And I especially want to thank Dr. Suman. She's from the CSIR-NIScPR Jigyasa division, the team who helped us put all of this together. Dr. Suman, thank you very, very much. And I think if that's about all that we have time for. So wish you all a very, very good evening. Some food for thought for all the teachers out there This knowledge, of course, can be multiplied when it's shared with a lot of other students in your class, in the schools, and so on and so forth. So let's get some great ideas out there, because sustainability is key for all of us. We have to find some avenues so that, you know, the earth continues in its same form for several more years. So hopefully the students come with a lot more ideas, and teachers, please do reach out with those questions. Dr. Pallela, thank you once again.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and all the best to all of you. And teachers, please be more proactive to help your student and help yourselves, so that you can be the team members for the companies, future companies. All the best. Thank you.
We'll all have a stake in it. Have a great evening,
Yes.
everybody.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Take
All
care.
right, bye. Thank you, doctor. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.